Section C. Directions. In this section you will hear 3 passages. At the end of each passage you will hear 3 or 4 questions. Both the passage and the questions will be spoken only once. After you hear a question, you must choose the best answer from the 4 choices, marked A, B, C and D. Then mark the corresponding letter on answer sheet 1 with a single line through the centre.
Passage 1. Some people wonder why countries spend millions of dollars on space projects. They want to know how space research helps people on Earth. Actually, space technology helps people on Earth every day. This is called spin-off technology. Spin-off technology is space technology that is now used on Earth. In early space programs, such as the Apollo missions of the 1960s and 1970s, and in the space shuttle missions today, scientists developed objects for the astronauts to use on the moon and in space. We now use some of these objects every day. For example, we have quartz crystal clocks and watches accurate to within 1 minute a year. We purify the water we drink with a water filter designed for the astronauts' use in space. The cordless, handheld tools we use in our homes, such as vacuum cleaners, flashlights, drills, and saws, came from the technology of these early space programs. On cold winter days, we can stay warm with battery-operated gloves and socks, and specially made coats and jackets. All of these clothes are similar to the spacesuit designs that kept astronauts comfortable in the temperatures of the moon, and are spin-offs from space technology. These products are only a few examples of the many ways space technology helps us in our everyday lives. No one knows how new spin-off technology from the International Space Station will help us in the future.
Questions 16 to 18 are based on the passage you have just heard. Question 16. What do some people want to know about space exploration? Question 17. What did scientists do for the space shuttle missions? Question 18. What does the speaker say about quartz crystal clocks and watches? Passage 2. Well, if I could go back in history and live, I'd like to go back to the 18th century and perhaps in colonial America, in Yankee New England, where one of my ancestors lived, because it was the beginning of something. By the 18th century, there was a feeling of community that had grown. My ancestor was a preacher travelling around the countryside. People lived in small communities. There were fishermen and farmers who provided fresh food that tasted and looked like food, unlike that in today's supermarkets. And there were small towns, and New York wasn't that far away. I'm deeply attached to the Puritan tradition, not in a religious sense, but they believed in working for something, working for goals, and I like that. They worked hard at whatever they did, but they had a sense of achievement. They believed in goodness, in community, in helping one another. I love the colonial fabrics, all the silverwork, the furnishings, the combination of elegance and simplicity. I love it. The printing, the books, I'm very attached to all that kind of thing. It may not all be very entertaining in the modern sense of the word, but I would have enjoyed spending my evenings in that environment, discussing new ideas, building a new world, and I can see myself sitting on a small chair by the fire doing needlework.
Questions 19 to 21 are based on the passage you have just heard. Question 19. Why does the speaker say she would like to go back and live in the 18th century America? Question 20. What does the speaker say about the Puritans? Question 21. What would the speaker like doing if she could go back to the past? Passage 3. If you are lost in the woods, a little knowledge can turn what some people call a hardship into an enjoyable stay away from the troubles of modern society. When you think you are lost, sit down on a log or a rock or lean against a tree and recite something that you have memorized to bring your mind to a point where it is under control. Don't run blindly. If you must move, don't follow a stream unless you know it, and in that case you are not lost. Streams normally flow through wetland before they reach a lake or a river. Though there are more eatable plants, there may also be wild animals, poisonous snakes, and other hazards. Many experts feel that it is wisest to walk uphill. At the top of most hills and mountains are trails leading back to civilization. If there are no trails, you are much easier to be seen on top of a hill, and you may even spot a highway or a railroad from this point. Nowadays, the first way someone will search for you is by air. In a wetland or in dense growth, you are very hard to spot. Anytime you go into the woods, somebody should know where you are going and when you expect to return. Also, when someone comes looking, you should be able to signal to them.
Questions 22 to 25 are based on the passage you have just heard. Question 22. What does the speaker advise you to do first if you are lost in the woods? Question 23. What will happen if you follow an unknown stream in the woods? Question 24. What do many experts think is the wisest thing to do if you are lost in the woods? Question 25. What should you do before you go into the woods?
This is